Few basic commands on the dataset. Once we import the dataset, we need to check if the data was imported correctly or all the variables are imported are in right format. So did we import all the rows? So once the data is inside the Python, we would like to perform some basic checks to get an idea about what the dataset is all about and how the variables are. Printing the dataset always is not a good idea because it might contain a lot of rows, a lot of columns, so we just need to see a little bit part of the dataset. So it's always a good practice to check the data, a number of rows, column, variable structure or summary, even the summary or the data snapshot once we have imported the dataset. So there are a few things that we can do, or there is a checklist that we can use, and building a habit of it will bring us to closer to being a good data analyst. So there are few commands that we can use to check our data set. So few things are like sales dot shape function that we have. It will give us the number of rows and column, and if we want to go to any single column, we can just or want to see all the name of the variables or all the name of the column, we can use columns dot values. And if we want to see the top 10 rows with the name of the column, we can just use dot head function and the number of line that we want to see. And dot tail function we can use to see the last 10 or 5 or whatever number we put in here. We will be able to see the last line of the data frame or data set, whatever we want to call it. And if we want to see the data type of all the variables, we can use the d types. Let's see how it works in Spider. So I have already imported the sales dataset. If you have not, then please import the dataset, and before that don't forget to import pandas SPD. Then I have just imported the sales data from CSV file. Again, I'm sorry. Oh, pandas SPD. We'll select and enter it. So we have imported the sales data. Always remember, it's pandas, not panda. If you have made a mistake like me, it might happen to you again also. So if I want to just see the data set, I can just select the name of the data frame or data set, whatever we have, and if we run it, we would be able to see the top few lines of the data frame, or all the data set that we have will be shown to us. If we just want to see the dimension, we can use the dot shape function. Remember, there is no parentheses after the shape function. Or if we want to see the dimension, we can also go to the variable explorer and see at the size, where we can see that there are 11 rows and 7 columns. If we want to see the column values or name of the column, we can use dot columns dot values function. This will show us an array of all the variable or all the name of the column that we have in our Python console. And if you want to just check the top 10 line of the data set, we can use head dot 10, and it will show us the top 10 rows of our data set. And we can change this value to 5 if we want to just see the 5 top line of the, or top 5 row of the data frame. If you can just select 5, we can see that we have in the console we can only see 5 row of the data frame. And if you want to check the last 5 or 10 line of the data frame, we can use tail function, and number of line that you want to see from the tail you would be able to see using this dot tail function. And if you want to see the data type of all the columns, we can use d types, and we would be able to see the data type. Like here, all the columns like customer ID, that this column is a integer type, customer name is object type, like this we can so on. We can see all the data types of the columns. And if I want to see the data type of just singular column, I can just use the data name of the data frame, and then dot the column name, and again dot d types. We can use this to find the data type of one single column. We can use this kind of function in different manner also. We can use the square bracket to go to our redirect ourselves to the data of column name, like this. In square brackets, we can use the name of the column, passes that as a string, and when we select it in our data frame, the name of the column, and by dot d types we can see the data type of singular column. And there is one more type function. This also gives us the data type of the function. It gives us that it is a numpy integer 64. It's giving us a numpy also because all numpy is the basic package on which pandas has been built. So every data frame, every value in the data frame is the data numpy value. Next, after seeing the dimension and everything about the basic checklist of the dataset, we can see the quick summary of the data frame. We can use the .describe function. .describe function is similar to the summary function in R. So it will, but the only difference is in using the summary function in R gives us a summary of all the variables, be it categorical, be it numerical. But in here, we would only be able to see the summary of only the integer or numerical variables. And there is another way to redirect to our any other column. If you want to see the summary of any singular column, we can redirect the dataset to that column and then use .describe and open and close parentheses. And if you want to get the frequency, which is similar to the table function in R, we can use .value_counts. It will give us the value counts or of each and every value that we have in that particular variable. And we can also use categorical variable, which is similar to table. Here the table we cannot use in Python, but if you want to count any missing value in our data frame, we can do it by using the function .isNull. It will show us if there is any value or not, and if we want to count the number of missing value, we can close it in sum function. So this whole function would be giving me the number of NA values in the or missing values in that particular variable. And if I want to take a sample out of the whole data frame, I can use the sample function, and in the parentheses I can pass the number of line randomly I want to collect from that data frame. So here we will try to see how it works in Python. So if I use .describe function, I can see all the two columns. Here we can see that only two columns are numerical. From the previous using the D types, we can see that there are customer ID and units sold are only the numerical or integer columns. So the describe function is only giving us values of or summary of all the numerical columns. It will give us the number count, meaning the number of values that we have in the column. Mean would give us the mean of all the columns, all the values in that particular column. STD would be the standard deviation. Min would be the minimum value in that column. 25% would be the first quartile, 50 would be the mean or median, and 75 percentile would be our third quartile, and the maximum value we can see over here. If I want to just describe or see or the summary of only single value variable or column, I can redirect by using the square brackets in the name of the column, and then I can use the describe function to see the summary of that particular column. Here I can see that I have just played the summary of customer ID by using the describe function. Here we have just seen the single summary of the single column. Sometimes we want to count all the values in our column. It's like the frequency, we want the frequency table of one particular column. What I have done is I have redirected use the sales data frame, and then dot and redirect myself to the column for which I want to find the frequency of, and then value_counts will give me the frequency of that particular column. If I run it, we can see that there are in this data frame there are two values. One is retail, another one is online. So retail has a frequency of 7 and online has a frequency of 4. Now if I want to see if there is any missing value in the data frame, I can use the .isNull function. It will tell me if there is any missing value or not. It will not give me any count. So if I run it will just show me all the values. If any value is missing or not, it will just tell me the customer ID, uh, do not have any missing value. If there was any missing value in there, it will just show me the value over here as true, but there is no missing value. And if I want to count it, I can just use the sum function to calculate all the missing value. Over here we can see that there is no missing value in this particular column. Now sometime we want to use a random sample from our data frame. Currently our data frame is of 11 rows, and if I want to just put out like 5 rows randomly, I can use dot sample function and put the number of values I want to take a sample as. So if I run this, we would be able to see that we have taken a random sample of all the 5 values from our data frame. And over here, if you look at closely, you can see that these values were taken by randomly. That's why our indexes has been distorted, because it has shuffled our data frame and just then took 5 values out of it. Here we have a lab for you. You have been given the dataset sales by country volume 1 dataset, and you have to import this dataset, and there are few questions for you to solve. We have learned most of the things in our this session, and you have to just practice it